All right, so securing your dreams, securing your dreams. My main focus today is going to be looking at what a dream is. I know we all have, an idea of what a dream is. I know that we all know what a dream is, but we might be learning a little bit more than we thought that we knew a dream was. We're going to be looking at why a dream is important. And then we're going to be looking at 10 questions to test your dream. The goal is that at the end of this, everyone here should fully understand what a dream is. Everyone should understand why it's important to have a dream, and everyone should be able to test their dream. Okay, everyone should be able to test their dream. That will be success for me if at the end of this, everyone at least now knows how to test their dream or what a dream is. All right, so what is a dream? What is a dream? A dream is a clear picture of a desired future that compels you to take every action required to realize it. A dream is a clear picture of a desired future that compels you to take every action required to realize it. Now, there are 4 key phrases there that you must note. Those 4 key phrases will help you remember this definition. Can I ask, please, that you mute just so that we don't get distracted? If you can please mute yourself, just so that we don't distract anyone. Okay. All right. So the first phrase there is a clear picture. Why is this important? You see, you must be able to see your dream in your mind's eye. You must be able to see a clear picture of your dream in your mind's eye. In the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey, he talks about the principle of first creation, and we all have the ability to do that. Why did I say that? We all think in pictures. We all think in pictures. If I said, if I decided to define an apple now, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to picture an apple in your mind. If I started talking about a car, the first thing that's going to happen is that you're going to picture a car in your mind. So we all have this ability to be able to create things in our mind. It's one of the blessings of that the Creator gave to us, and we all have that ability. Now, many people think visionaries are special people that had, one special gifting or the other from God, and that's why they're able to cast the vision and see really far. But I'm telling you today that we all have that ability. We all have the ability to think, to picture what our desired future is. Okay, so the first thing about a dream is that you must have a clear picture. If you remember one of the most popular speeches ever given about dreams by Martin Luther King, he said, "I have a dream," and he was very clear about the things that he was saying that he wanted. So that's what a dream is. A dream is not a fuzzy picture. You must be able to see it clearly. You must be able to say, this is where I want to get to. This is what I want to achieve. The next thing is that a dream is supposed to be a desired future. In other words, it is something futuristic. It's not in the now, but it is something that you hope to achieve in the future. It's something that you hope to realize, or to have in the future. Now, the key word there in that phrase is desire. It's important that we understand that desire is not the same thing as a wish or a want. A desire is something that you feel a conviction for. Okay, so if you have a dream, then there will be a deep desire, a deep conviction that takes us to the third word there, compels. That compels you. So a dream is a clear picture, something you see of a desired future that compels you, The compulsion that your dream gives you carries something that, I like to refer to as a pulling power. a pulling power. It compels you. In other words, you must be convicted by the dream that you have. And that conviction is what compels you to do what? To take the required actions, which is the fourth phrase. It compels you to take the required action. So there must be steps within your control that are necessary for its fulfillment. There must be steps within your own control and influence that are necessary for its influence, for its fulfillment. Okay, so we must be able to distinguish a dream from a wish. People can wish to win the lottery. People can wish to become billionaires or millionaires. People can wish to have a job. But unless you are ready to take the required action, unless you have a conviction that compels you to take those required actions, then you're probably just dancing around the arena of a wish. Now, why is it important? Why is it important to have a dream? A dream that meets the definition that we just discussed, it gives you a reason to live. It gives you a reason to live. It gives meaning, it gives fulfillment, and it gives purpose. It gives meaning, fulfillment, and purpose. Many people who have a dream that meets this requirement, they have a will to live. And the reason why this is so important is because we live in a day and age where people give up in life. We live in a day and age where millionaires or even billionaires commit suicide. Why did they commit suicide? Because they simply did not have any reason to keep going on. They simply did not have any reason to keep going on. The second reason why I think, having a dream is so important is that it aids the effective use of your resources. It aids the effective use of your resources, such as money, time, and relationships. So King Solomon, the richest king and the wisest king that ever lived, he said, where there is no revelation, which is just a fancy word for dream or vision, people cast off restraint. In other words, people no longer act, with temperance. People no longer restrict themselves. People no longer consider other factors. So having a dream makes you consider the bigger picture. It helps you in the effective channeling or delegation of all your resources and time. It basically protects you. So someone who doesn't have a dream might not know how to use his time. Someone who doesn't have a dream might not know what to invest money in or how to invest money. Someone who doesn't have a dream might not take the time out to understand the difference between an asset and a liability. And that is why some people still consider owning a car as an asset. So the truth of the matter is, unless that car is somehow generating income or used in the generation of income for you, that car really is not an asset. It's a liability. We just have it for convenience. So that car becomes an expense. For instance, I have a car, but that car is not an asset. In the list of my assets, I can't consider that car as an asset because it's not generating any income for me. Discipline also, having a dream also disciplines your life. Disciplines your life. So your friend comes and say, let's go for that party. Nope, I have things to do with my time. Your friend comes and says, I want to buy this car. And then you're thinking, well, I need my finances to invest. I need to invest my money in my dream. So you don't spend money anyhow when you have a dream. It protects your finances. It protects all the resources that you have, not just your finances. When you have a proper dream, you start considering other factors around you. We as human beings are finite in ourselves. We don't have unlimited time. We don't have unlimited resources. So in the management of our resources, it needs to be channeled towards a proper goal. And that's what a dream gives you. It's that dream that gives you the discipline to do that. Having a dream also prevents you from being a spectator in your life. and it transforms you into being a director in your life story. See, many of us really are playing spectator in our lives. We're not actually in control or directing our lives. Have you not noticed people don't say live your life? People say lead your life. And leading yourself can be the most difficult thing that you can ever do. The only thing that helps you lead your life properly is having a dream. In fact, the only reason why a business can stay the course and stand the test of time is by constantly referring to their vision and mission statement. There is no company in existence today that is successful that doesn't have a vision and mission statement that acts as their guidance system. This is why having a dream is important. You know, Les Brown said, if you don't go after the things that you want, the things that you don't want will soon take over your life. Having a dream helps you go after what you want. Having a dream helps you go after what you want, so that what the things that you don't want will take over. You know, and it's unfortunately in life, the things that we don't want don't need any extra effort for them to take over our life. What does it take for weeds to grow in your garden? A little folding of your hands. What does it take for you to gain excess fat and excess weight? A little folding of your hand. That's all it takes. But when you have a goal, when you have a dream, now I know those words are used interchangeably, but it's important to understand that a dream or a vision is more or less the bigger picture for your entire life's purpose, whereas the goal are the milestones that you achieve, you know, that the bringing of them together makes that dream. Okay, so you want to make sure that you have something that you're pursuing in life in order for you to be able to manage your time wisely. Now, when some people get offended when, you know, you invite someone for an event or you invite someone for a party and the person cannot attend. Has it occurred to you that that person is pursuing a dream? I no longer get offended if I invite someone or tell someone to come for something and the person doesn't attend or is not able to make it. I simply believe that, all right, this person must have a goal that they're trying to achieve. You know, they have a dream or a vision that they're pursuing that makes their time, you know, best spent at something else. Now, if you're not attending or going for something just because you want to spite someone or just because you want to create a sense of importance or value, then at the end of the day, you're just deceiving yourself. But that's none of my business. But one of the things I discovered and I understood was that when you have a dream, you no longer feel bad or sad for saying no. Saying no becomes easy. If you're someone like me that struggled with saying no, having a dream will make no easier for you, because once you remember that you have something that you're pursuing, it disciplines your life. You know how to spend your money. You know how to spend your time. And at the end of the day, your life is just the sum of your time. Your life is just the sum of your time, you know, and that's why they say the secret to success is in your daily agenda. Some other people say it's in your daily habits. So someone who has a dream, someone who has a vision for his life, they schedule their day, they schedule their priorities. They know what has to go into my time every day. What is the best use of my time in order to achieve the goal, in order to achieve the purpose. Okay, so we're going to now be answering, you know, 10 questions that help us to test our dreams. 10 questions that help us to test our dreams. But before I go into that, there is something that I learned that I want to share with you guys, and it totally transformed my life. The reason why I'm sharing it is because I think we never really pause to think. We never really pause to think about them. We know the meanings of these things. We know the definitions, but we don't always become aware. We don't always become aware of these things. And these things have the power to change your life. The three things I want to talk about is knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Knowledge is information. Understanding is comprehension. And wisdom is application. Now, I'm going to put those three things together to help you see how they relate and how it helps you. Now, I'm sure you've heard the saying or the quote that knowledge is power. That statement was great for a time until we fully understood that there is a huge gap between knowing and doing. Many of us are brilliant. Many of us have lots of information in our head. I have loads and loads of information in my head, some of which I don't understand, some of which I don't apply. But without the understanding and without the application, that knowledge does not become power. You see, that phrase should be said, knowledge is potential power, because what you don't know cannot help you. So there needs to be a knowing first. There needs to be a getting of that information. Okay, the next step is that you need to be able to understand that information. You need to be able to comprehend that information. So until you understand something, you cannot benefit from it. Until you comprehend what it is, you cannot apply it. So, you know, for those of us that are people of faith, the wisest man that ever lived, Solomon, said, get wisdom, but in all the things that you get, make sure you get understanding. So wisdom being the principal thing, principal means first law, you know, being the first thing that you must get is a great thing that you must get, but you need to make sure that you get the understanding of that thing. Otherwise, you will abuse that thing. Miles Monroe, the late Miles Monroe, he said, when the purpose of something is unknown, abuse becomes inevitable. And what is abuse? Abuse is abnormal use. So many of us, sadly to say, we abuse our time. I went on a long part of my life abusing my time, abusing my finances, abusing my body. See, this thing has nothing to do with religion. By all means, you're free to do what you want to do. God doesn't really even interfere. He's giving you your life to do what you want to do, you know, for those of us that are faith. So there's really nothing. When people ask me, because I'm a person of faith, people ask me about things like, you know, drinking and smoking and all that. I say, that has nothing to do with sin. That's entirely your concern. But what you'll find out is that people who are not even people of faith, this is why it's not a religious question. By the way, I'm not pro-religion, but anyways, people will understand where they're going to in life, begin to know that these things are not for me. So there is an understanding that these things are not for where I'm going. It's not a function of whether it is a good thing or a bad thing. You see, when you have a dream, you begin to channel your life from what is good to what is right. There are lots of good things to do, but they might not necessarily be right for you. So what is more important is what is right for you, not what is good for you. Okay, so getting the comprehension, understanding whatever information that you get is what will then help you to apply it. Why? Because what you don't apply wouldn't do anything for you. So I have this seed. This seed, if I plant it, is going to grow a tree for me and money will start falling from the tree. But what if I don't plant that seed? I don't get the money that that's supposed to rain down from that tree. Okay, so we must move from knowing to comprehending to application. Okay, knowing, comprehending, and application. All right, so the 10 questions that we need to answer was developed by a man called John Maxwell, and he came out with these 10 brilliant questions. I read them and it changed my life, so I'm sharing it with you guys today. The first question that you want to answer is the ownership question. The second question is the clarity question. The third question is the reality question. The fourth question is the passion question. The fifth question is the pathway question. The sixth question is the people question. The seventh is the cost question. The eighth, the tenacity question. The ninth, the fulfillment question. And the 10th, the significance question. Okay, and we're going to be going through all of them one at a time. Okay, so ownership question. Is my dream really my dream? Is my dream really my dream? Without a sense of ownership, most people don't take responsibility. Without a sense of ownership, most people don't take responsibility, and it is impossible to influence what you are not responsible to. So that is not a typo. Responsible was done deliberately. Why? Because responsibility is actually a grammatical construct of two words, which is response and ability. response, and ability. So when you have a sense of ownership, things are within your sphere of influence, which means that you can change them. You can make things go up or go down. When you don't have ownership of something, you're not really able to do that. Now, a man called T.S. Eliot, he said, whatever you think, be sure it is what you think. Whatever you want, be sure it is what you want. Whatever you feel, be sure it is what you feel. Why? Because it is really important to answer this question, because many people end up living their lives, getting to the end of their lives, only to find out the lives that they've been leading has not been what they wanted it to be. In achieving your dreams, it is important that you're 100% sure that what you are pursuing is yours and not someone else's. What you're pursuing is yours and not someone else's. Now, for those of us who are from an African background, one of the things that unfortunately some of us have suffered, I happen to be, grateful that I didn't have that impact in my life. But most of us, our parents, for their deep concern and love for us, they sort of influenced us to pick particular courses of study. Now, those things that we went into study might not have been necessarily what we wanted, but our parents, to the best of their knowledge, and God bless them, felt that that was the best thing for us. But because it wasn't our own, many of us started struggling. Now, it doesn't mean that if you own a dream, you're not going to struggle with it. The only difference is that you know that you made the choice. Now, I'm a huge believer in this statement. If you are not going to be responsible for the consequences, then the decision is not yours to make. If you are not going to be responsible for the consequences, then the decision is not yours to be made. This is why we must try not to interfere. We can advise. It's okay to advise. In the multitude of counsel, there's safety. It's good to get, advice from as many sources as we want to, but we must own our decisions. Why? Because at the end of the day, we will bear the rewards or the consequences of those decisions. Okay? So you owe it to yourself to make sure that the life you are leading is yours and you did not accept it. If you cannot answer the ownership question, it may be that you need to get better connected with yourself and your dreams. Socrates will say, know thyself, know thyself. You can understand yourself better by asking these questions. What would I do if I had no limitations? What would I do if I had only 5 years to live? What would I do if I had unlimited resources? What would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? So many people don't pursue their dreams because of the fear of failure. But what if you couldn't fail? Would you pursue it? You must develop enough confidence to be able to take ownership of your dreams. Why? Because with ownership comes responsibility. And that's why many companies, one of the things that they try to encourage people to do is to take ownership of their role, take ownership of their tasks. Because without taking ownership, no one takes responsibility. The next question is the clarity question. Do I clearly see my dream? See, Helen Keller was asked, what is worse than being blind? And her answer was, the worst thing than being blind is having sight, but no vision. Peter Marshall said, give us clear vision that we may know where to stand and what to stand for. Why did he say that? If you don't know what to stand for, you will fall for everything. If you don't know what to stand for, you will fall for everything. So clarity. Can you go where you don't see? If everywhere around you was dark, are you going to be able to take steps forward? The answer is no. But the truth is, many of us are living our lives in a dark room because we've not set dreams and visions for ourselves. We've not planned the next 5 years, 10 years of our lives. We don't know what we want to be what we want to say we've achieved at the end of our lives. If you do not begin with the end in mind, you are guaranteed not to like the end. If you do not begin with the end in mind, you are guaranteed not to like the end. Habakkuk, Prophet Habakkuk, he said, write the vision, make it plain, so that the people that see it will run with it. In other words, don't think in your mind, think on paper. Sit down, and when you're thinking, write all the ideas that come to you. You know, if you've ever listened to what's his name now? Earl Nightingale, he talked about the fact that we have a gold mine in our heads, our mind. If we simply just sit down every day, practice it 15 minutes, try to write ideas down, just write it down. It might not be great. It might, you never know. But if you were to write 20 ideas, surely out of those 20 ideas, one might be a good idea. So you need that clarity. And although you might not be able to see the full picture, you might be able to see part of it. And that's enough to take a step. You don't need to see the whole thing. Have an idea what you want to get to, where you want to get to, and then be able to cast, you know, a few steps ahead. And that's what casting vision is. And vision gets tweaked. The truth of the matter is that the more the clarity comes, the more you know what resources to apply and when to apply them. If a man of average height stands on a playing field, apparently he can see 3 miles ahead. If a man stands on a playing ground, he can see 3 miles ahead. Now, if that man wanted to go 10 miles, and he decides, well, because I can't see 10 miles from here, I'm not going to take a step, he's never going to move. So starting in the first place is really, really important, because I've never seen anyone that finished something that they did not start. So when you can see that 3 miles ahead, even though you want to go 10 miles, for every mile you take, you can see a mile further. So I want to go 10 miles, I can see 3 miles. Once I take move a mile, I can see the next 3 miles. So I'm now seeing 4 miles. When I take another mile, I can see the next 3 miles, which means I can see 5 miles. And that's how it works. Do you see your dream clearly? Is your dream in focus? Clarity helps you get your priorities right. We talked about, you know, one of the importance of vision is or dream. Having a dream is being able to allocate our resources easily. So when you have that clarity, you will set your priorities right. Only people who can see their dreams can seize their dreams. The next question is the reality question. Am I depending on factors within my control to achieve my dream? Am I depending on factors within my control to achieve my dream? The achievement of your dream must be based significantly on what you can do to achieve it, not on what others need to do for its fulfillment. So if before you can take the first step, you need someone to come and do something for you, then that dream is at the mercy of that person. Your dream must never be at the mercy of someone other than yourself. For the success of your dream, it cannot be at the mercy of someone other than yourself. Reality is the enemy of fantasies, but not of dreams. That's a quote by Rudy Ruettiger. So for people who have fantasies, reality becomes an enemy. But for people who have dreams, they need that reality check. They need to be able to see, we as human beings, what we tend to do is we tend to overestimate our strengths and underestimate our weaknesses. And that's why knowing yourself is really important. A good tool, if you wanted to study yourself, is something called the Johari window. The Johari window, made by 2 guys. So you want to have a look at that, because there's something called the blind spot. There are 4 quadrants. There's something called the blind spot. The blind spot is the part of you that you can't see, but you need other people to see it for you. But there is also a sweet spot where you can see, you know yourself clearly, and other people can see that. That's more or less like your strength zone and things like that. So whatever your dream is, the fulfillment of that dream must be based on your talent and your hard work. Until those 2 meet together, your dream will not be actualized. Until those 3 meet together, your dream will not be actualized. Your dream must not be dependent on luck or fate, F-A-T-E. Your dream must not be dependent on luck or fate. Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. How many people have you heard say, well, this is what life dealt to me? This is what life dealt with me. You see, what happens to you is not as important as what happens inside of you. What happens to you is not as important as what you do with what happens to you. Your success in life is actually 90% dependent on what you do with what happens to you, and 10% of what happens to you. Self-appraisal of your potential will help you in answering the reality question. Self-appraisal of your potential. Everyone has an inherent gift. I'm not talking about what you studied in school or whatnot. I studied accountancy. I love accountancy. But, you know, that is not potential. Potential is something that you were born with. I wasn't born with accounting knowledge. And everyone was born with something. Everyone has one gift or the other. And you can find it in your passion, which takes us to the next question, the passion question. Does my dream compel me to follow it? Here's that word again, compel. When we're defining dreams, the third component in our definition was compel. Does your dream compel you to follow it? So pulling power versus pushing power is what you should try and identify. And both of them are different. You see, the difference is pushing power has to happen from outside of you, whereas pulling power is something that happens within you. It magnetizes you. If you take a magnet, for instance, a magnet has a north and a south. If you take two and you try to put the north side of one with the north side of the other, you're going to have to push it together. You're going to have to apply a lot of effort. And even when you get close, you can see it starts moving to the left or the right. That's pushing power. But when you turn one of them around and the north side is facing the south side, effortless, it just magnetizes itself together. Passion creates possibility. You'll find out that the things that you are passionate about, you are drawn to. No one needs to motivate you. Passion is the fuel that keeps you on the journey towards your dream. The reason why many people have burnout is because they are not passionate about what they're doing. You need passion. You need passion. Passion will give you staying power. Passion will give you, it's people that are passionate about what they do that are not concerned about whether they get paid or not. And that's one of the reasons how you can find what you're passionate about. You might claim that you love your job so much. You just imagine if they decided not to pay you. If you're going to still be willing to do that job, then you can say you're passionate about it. So passion is intrinsic. It is within you. For your dream to be actualized, you must have a passion for it. And the reason is because there's going to be difficulty in it. There's going to be difficulty in it. You see, one of the things that I have observed myself in life is whether we like it or not, in everyone's timeline, there is difficulty and there is ease. As surely as the seasons change, whether you like it or not, there's difficulty and there's ease. But you have control over which one you want to come first. Les Brown puts it this way. He says, if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. But if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. Okay? Have you noticed that school was much more difficult than work? School was much more difficult than work. And people who did not who did not do well in school because it was too difficult, did not make it to work and they start struggling in work. So whether we like it or not, it's a part of life to have that difficulty and ease. If ease comes first, difficulty is coming later. If ease comes first, difficulty is coming later. The fifth question is the pathway question. That is, do I have a strategy to reach my dream? A dream without a plan for its fulfillment is nothing but a wish. A dream without a plan for its fulfillment is nothing but a wish. A strategy is an active plan that helps you achieve desired results. With a working strategy effectively applied, different people can achieve the same result. So in other words, a strategy or a design is what helps ordinary people do extraordinary things. It's not so much about the person as it's about the system. If the system is wrong, no matter how great the person is, it's going to fail. But if the system is great, then an ordinary person can achieve the same results. So you've got to spend time with your dream and plan it through. Design a strategy. In designing your strategy, you begin to identify what opportunities or what threats lies ahead of your dream, and you begin to plan towards it so that it doesn't shock you too much. So in the achievement of your dream, do you have a plan? You must be able to design a strategy that will help you in achieving your dream. A good place that I think is good to start is by reading biographies of people who have achieved similar things. You know, people have written books about, you know, their successes and their failures. You know, read those things, learn from their mistakes. I mean, you can learn from yours, but how much easier is it learning from other people's mistakes? Okay. So where possible, it's also a good idea to make sure that you have a mentor. Look for someone who has achieved something similar and make them your mentor, and they can help you in designing a strategy. The next question is the people question. Have I included the people I need to realize my dream? You see, whether you like it or not in life, you're going to need people, whether you like it or not. Okay. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That's an African proverb. And for people of faith, you're familiar with the phrase that says 1 chases 1,000 and 2 chases 10,000. If you're not a person of faith, surely if you're a person in the business world, you've probably heard the terminology called synergy. Is one of my favorite, you know, which basically says the sum of the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Mathematically speaking, it means 2 + 2 is equal to 5. So you need people, whether you like it or not. If your dream can be achieved by you alone, it isn't a dream. It's just one of the goals that take you closer to achieving your dream. The bigger your dream is, the bigger need you have for people. The bigger need you have for people. The next question is the cost question. Am I willing to pay the price for my dream? Am I willing to pay the price for my dream? You see, many of us don't, when it comes to cost, we don't like it. But anything that does not have value, it's not going to cost anything. So technically speaking, the more the cost, the higher the value should be. So if you have a big dream, you must be willing to pay a big price for it. You know, there's a saying that goes, if you want to get something that you've never gotten, you must do something that you've never done. What you're willing to pay determines what it's worth to you. And that's why any wise investor would ask you what you've invested, first of all, in that dream, in that business of yours. They will first of all ask you, what have you invested, before they're able to put their money in, because they want to know what it costs you. The value of achieving any dream is always hidden in the cost required for its realizations. It is thus safe to say that a dream that costs nothing is worth nothing. You can also be sure that the bigger your dream is, the bigger the cost. So someone, the great rabbi of Nazareth, Jesus Christ himself, he said, don't begin anything until you've counted the cost. Have you seen anyone building a house without knowing what it's going to cost him? Or have you seen anyone going to war without knowing, you know, his army, what is going to, whether his army is strong enough or big enough to take on the army that he's going for? So in thinking about your dream, the cost that you want to consider is money, of course, financial cost, position. Sometimes you might need to lose a position to achieve your dream. What relationships? Don't lose the wrong relationships for your dream. Make the right relationships for your dream. Some of you might need to sleep less in the pursuit of your dream. Some people might need to give in more time in the pursuit of their dream. If your dream is going to cost you your health, Is that dream really worth pursuing? Whatever the cost may be, you must identify it and evaluate it. Check that you're willing to pay the cost. If the cost is more than the benefit, then clearly that's a failed dream. If the cost is more than the benefit, then that's a failed dream. The 8th question that we want to answer is the tenacity question. Am I moving closer to my dream? Am I moving closer to my dream? Tim McCoy, he said, the mere possession of a vision is not the same as living it. The mere possession of a vision is not the same as living it, nor can we encourage others with it. If we do not ourselves understand and follow its truth, to be blessed with a vision is not enough. We must live them. So you would have to live your vision. For people to be attracted to it, you have to be able to live it. Tenacity is the ability to finish. Many people can start, but only few people can finish. Tenacity is the ability to keep going when other people quit. If you cannot go alone, in other words, if you're not willing to stand for something that no one else is willing to stand for, then that dream is not strong enough for you to pursue it. In the pursuit of your dream, there will be points when you really, really, really want to quit. But tenacity is what will enable you to stay. Who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame. This is talking about Jesus Christ of Nazareth, who died on the cross for the sins of believers, people of that faith. I'm a believer of that faith. So it was a difficult thing. If even if you don't believe in him at all, you must give it to him that he definitely believed in his dream. I don't know about you, but I'm not willing to be nailed on the cross for anyone. But he was willing to do that. Do you have the staying power for the pursuit of your dream? So when everyone else abandons you, are you willing to stick with it? You want to answer that question in the pursuit of your dream. The 9th question is the fulfillment question. Does working toward my dream bring satisfaction? See, your dream, the achievement of your dream is gonna take time, especially if it's a big dream. But you want to begin to have a sense of fulfillment, even in its pursuit. I've heard the saying, enjoy where you are as you're working or walking towards where you're going. Enjoy where you are. So at the end of your dream, are you going to feel fulfilled? It's not about money. I keep saying that because when people talk about a dream, people have dreams to become millionaires and things like that. No, having the money is just a byproduct of the dream. Having the money is a byproduct of the dream. The real fulfillment, the real joy is what you should focus on. Paul of Tarsus, he said, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award me on that day. And not only me, but also all who have longed for his appearing. Achieving a dream is both a journey and a destination. Achieving a dream is both a journey and a destination. So even if you are passionate, even if you're passionate and willing to pay the price and they are tenacious, will you find fulfillment at the end of your dream? So you got a ladder and you put it on a building, you climbed to the end of that building and you got there and you realized that you were on the wrong building. That's not fulfillment. No one wants to get to the end of their life and realize, I did not live a fulfilled life. You must be able to have a sense, whatever you're pursuing now, you need to be able to check the level of joy and satisfaction that you're getting from it. And it has to be more than money. It has to be more than money. The final question, the significance question, does my dream benefit others? So if the fulfillment of your dream benefits you alone, it's not a dream, it is an ambition. Never mistake the two. If the fulfillment of your dream benefits you alone, it's not your dream, it's an ambition. So all the biggest and the greatest companies today, all the people who have become billionaires, they didn't set out to become billionaires. They had a dream of achieving something that was greater than them, that it wasn't them, they themselves alone that were going to benefit from it. As a matter of fact, if you're a business person, if your product or service is not satisfying the customer, you're not going to last very long in the market. So it's not about you. See, don't overvalue yourself. You're not that important. That's why I tell myself, I'm not that important. The marketplace is more important. The people that benefit from my existence are more important. If you were to die today, aside your family, members of your family, who else is going to feel that you walked the earth? See, success is something you do for yourself, but significance is something you do for other people. Jacques Cousteau said, if a man, for whatever reason, has the opportunity to lead an extraordinary life, he has no right to keep it to himself. We live in an interdependent world. We live in an interdependent world. What does that mean? It means that for this world to continue to exist, for it to continue to be sustained, although we are all independent individuals who have our strengths, we must come together. We must have a symbiotic relationship. We must work together in order for us to be able to achieve greater things. Why? Because everybody has strengths, but everybody has weaknesses. But when we come together, our strengths eliminate the weaknesses of others. And other people's weaknesses, other people's strengths eliminate our own weaknesses. Who will benefit from your dream? Who is going to, the dream that you have, I want you to start thinking, who will benefit other than yourself? Just think about the trees. The trees give us oxygen. But what do they need? They need carbon dioxide. We need oxygen and we give out carbon dioxide. Take any one of us out of the equation and the other dies. Take anyone out of the equation and the other one dies. So we need to begin to think like that. You know, what can I do? That my reason for being, my reason for living should be beyond me. So someone like Martin Luther King, his dream outlived him. If your dream dies with you, your dream was not a dream. If your dream stops solely at benefiting you, your dream ends with you. But if your dream impacts the lives of other people positively, then and only then will your dream outlive you. Then and only then will your dream outlive you. So when your dream goes beyond benefiting you, you will find that you attract more resources. And this is very key. When you find that your dream goes beyond benefiting you, you will find that you have more resources. Have you noticed that there are some charities who have larger incomes than some businesses have? Why? Because they have a cause. In fact, Simon Sinek refers to it as a just cause. Many people start a business to make profit, but they've gotten it all wrong. You see, the business is just meant to be a vehicle, and the money that it generates is just meant to be the fuel that helps you to continue to deliver that cause. And that's what sustains a business. The reason why you hear businesses that are 60 years, 100 years is because they've been delivering value to people. People don't come to you because they like you. People come to you because you deliver value. I don't know how many of you like the mango tree. I don't see anybody hugging mango tree or hugging orange tree or banana tree. No, you go there for its fruit. So when you begin to deliver value to people, that is where your significance comes, and people will come to look for you. It will begin to attract the resources. So charities are able to exist. Why? Because they have a cause that people are giving money to, people are contributing to. So if you want to be a person, you know, that is seen as successful, if you want to be someone who wants to make a mark in this life, then your dream must be to the benefit of other people and not just yourself. And you have it deep within you. You just need to search yourself. I leave you with this. Whatever your dream or your dreams are, remember this: the true value of anything is a function of what it could be, not what it is. The true value of something is what it could be, not what it is. So do not despise your dream. Do not despise your ambition, or even your ambition can be transformed to a dream the moment you start transferring it to other people beyond just your family or the people that you like. Whatever it is, it could be of benefit to other people. You are significant in this world. Everybody needs whatever input you have. But to access that contribution that makes a difference, you're going to need to think outside of yourself. If you look only at yourself and what you can benefit, you're not going to be able to do that. But you need to start thinking of other people. Thank you so much for your time. And I hope I have given you value today.
Thank you so much. First of all, I would say thank you to Owe for two things. First of all, for he and his team deeming it fit to invite me for this. And the second thing is for retaliating on the previous event we did in December. You see, guys, the previous event we did in December, I spoke first and said almost 30 to 50% of what Owe was going to say. And Owe had told me he was going to retaliate. So he's tried to do the same today. Thank you so much for that. Basically, as Ikeolu said, my name is Kyrie Oke. My background in terms of career is within engineering, and as an engineer, I'm also interested in the business side of things, and delivering high value projects within engineering, and I do that as my 9 to 5. As part of my life as well, I do trainings. Over the last year, I've trained almost 100 SME owners online to be able to get themselves prepared for the coming shifts in business. Aside from some of the things that Ikeolu has said, I also started something just very recently, productivity run, which is coming up. So you guys watch that space. Aside from that, I'm a husband. I have two children. In terms of where we are as a family, we're still at that stage where the possibility of a sleepless night is still very high. And in the midst of that, I also am a part of the church, the local assembly in which I am, and I am keen on being effective in all of these things in which I've just mentioned. And the reason I gave background to myself is so that you understand that just like you, I have set goals. I've put myself in trying to push myself and all of that. And many times I don't hit my goals. Many times I don't hit my goals. Many times I find myself in that point of trying to either take the easy way out, going for the excuse that, look, I'm a father, I have two children, I didn't sleep last night because the baby was crying, right? I find myself having to want to make those decisions, either to fight or to go for the flight, right? And every single time we would find ourselves in the pursuit of our dreams, pursuit of our goals, we'll find ourselves in that challenge. The challenge of, do I keep going? Would I wake up from this dream in my head and make it a reality, or would it remain a fantasy? And for me, I haven't set lots of goals. At first, I wait for the 1st of January, right? It's the natural time to set a goal, and I find that in my own personal life, eating February, March, and even as we get to June, for example, even the thought of the goal has become a distant memory. But still, I keep pushing, right? Until I started asking myself a question: doing things the same way over and over again without having to change anything and expecting a different result. Most people know that quote is a definition of insanity. I'm not insane. So how do I move forward from where I am? How do I change, make that shift from always trying to always putting myself in that place as though I am running against the wind in fulfilling my dreams, where I have this challenge that although I want to be this, but I cannot be that because either I've given myself excuses, or I just find that things happen. Like myself and we would have conversations and we say things like, life happens, and many times we find ourselves in that case, and I have found myself in that a number of times. And first thing is I looked at my goals. Is it a problem with the way I've set my goals, or is it a problem? Is there a problem with my motivation? And if you're here today, you will know that you are not always motivated, right? Is there a problem with my commitment? Is it that I am not committed to the goal? So some people say, look, motivation is overrated, discipline is what matters, and I try to become disciplined in doing what I need to do. And I began to notice and that some things worked, some things did not work. So I started doing a personal research on that. How can I be better? How can I be effective in my family, in my career, in my businesses, and also within the other things in which I do, without having to drop the ball on anything? And I started making that research. And the first thing I found was that you and I are not alone. We are not alone. A staggering 92% of people, when they set a goal at the start of the year, actually don't achieve them. Well, when I said you are not alone, or we are not alone, I am not trying to make you feel better about it. And neither am I saying accept it. What I'm trying to say is that this is a challenge for everybody. But somehow, 8% out of those who set goals, by the way, you shouldn't wait for a natural time like the new year or your birthday to set a new goal. The moment there is need to start, there is a need to think, there is a need to act, get in motion, right? So I found that, look, we're not alone, yes, but is that enough to be able to tell my dreams? Look at myself in the mirror and say, the reason I have not done this is because we are not alone. Of course, that is not an acceptable excuse. Neither is any excuse really acceptable. If my dream, like always said, if my dream is worth pursuing, I must be willing to pay the price. However, I have lots of interests right now, lots of places that are important. My family is important, my career is important, my business is important, everything else that I do, I've prioritized, and I see what is important and what is not, and I've gone through what should be done now, what should be done later. However, I still have a problem in getting myself in motion and getting myself in motion. And I know that many people on this call find themselves in that position where, look, things are not the way we thought they would be. So in doing that research, I began to realize that the first thing I must do as a person, the first thing you must do as a person, is not to excuse the failure away. Never excuse the failure away. Always try to find why and correct the why. Always try to find why and correct the why. And I stumbled on this quote some I think it was yesterday, and I thought it was an interesting thing to bring up at this point. And this is from Cindy Trim. She says, perhaps things are the way they are because we are the way we are. Perhaps things are the way they are because we are the way we are. Not because we are failures, but there is something about the way we do things. There's something about the way we put ourselves together. There's something about the way we think that makes things the way they are, that makes things the way they are. And the first thing is not to fly out and say, look, this is who I am, I can't change. No, you must be able to know that regardless of where you are, you can make a decision to make a transition, make the mental shifts and the physical shifts as well, that ensures that you can start finding results in your everyday life. I'll give you some examples in my life as we go on. But as I went on, if if the responsibility lies with me, then I am to make the calls. I am to determine if I achieve the result or not. I shouldn't leave it to chance. I shouldn't leave it to life happening. I shouldn't leave it to motivation. And I'm talking about motivation. So something as simple as tidying up your room, right? Because sometimes we think it's always about the big things, because the small things in which we do translate to the big things. Someone asked the question in the last session about when you work for someone else, the quality of service in which you give, is there a correlation between that and when you start your own? The answer is yes, because you have been, whatever quality you have given while working for someone, you have been conditioned to give that quality because you have consistently given that quality. Either it's a quality of mediocrity or a quality of excellence. You have become that person. You are the way you are. You because you have consistently done that. You can't just make that shift because now certain things about your life, your system has been conditioned to deliver that kind of quality. So what then is the answer? And I just mentioned, I just mentioned it. What then is the answer to this? The truth is the way we have been conditioned. It is our system, not the system, our system, our mindset. That includes our mindset, our habits, what we have been exposed to, the environment in which we find ourselves, and what we pay attention to, as put us in a box where, although we set goals, we make them smart, and even sometimes we make them smarter, and yet it seems as though we can't eat them no matter how smart they are, no matter how we get into putting them into plan. So what do I mean by system? Just let's talk a bit about systems there. We there are lots of systems, and I'll start with one you probably interact with, you must interact with at least on a daily basis. It's our digestive system, right? As digestive system, all you need to do is to put something in your mouth, and somehow the digestion starts from your mouth. And the moment you can chew whatever you've put in your mouth, if it's food, and you can roll it up into a lump down your esophagus, somehow the job starts. You don't have to monitor it, right? You don't have to monitor it because it has been designed to take food down that tract. Now, in for those of us who did some form of sciences, you will know that it is not just the tract in which it goes down. It's not the only tract in that area of your anatomy. It's not the only tract in the in just below your mouth, right? There is the windpipe there, but somehow the food doesn't go to the windpipe. It goes through the esophagus for some reason and goes to the stomach, and you just carry on with your day. Why? It is a system. It determines the direction of which things go. Even though we have determined the food we put in our mouth, we have put it in our mouth, somehow the system determines, takes it over from there, and it becomes in some way automatic. Now, when we think very closely about another system, there's our cars, for example. Most of our cars still use the combustion engine system, and every time we put fuel in our car, it, it is we realize that fuel that we've put in our car, if we pour it around a property, for example, and set it on fire, you won't be able to control to some extent the fire, right? But somehow we've put that same destructive substance or fluid into our car, and we just got into the driving seat, turned the ignition, and then the car starts. Why? Every time the car doesn't start, we check the system. Which what's wrong with the car, what's wrong with the system, because the expectation is that the system should start the engine and then get us going, right? And there are lots of systems. We have payment system, we have the political system, and all of that. So what exactly is a system? A system is a method or a scheme by which things are done. Every single person, every single organization, Every single society, every single government has a form of system. It might be orderly, it might be disorderly, but regardless of how the system is still a system. Is the method, is the thinking, is the philosophy of which things are being done within that space. Another definition for system is a set of little things put together to be a part of a bigger thing, a bigger mechanism or a complex whole, a set of little things. There are little things in which we do. So every government, like I said, has a system. Every business has a system. Now think about the place in which you work. For example, if you want to claim expenses, especially in an establishment, an established organization, there is a way you claim the expenses. No matter how much you have spent on a business trip, when it comes to claiming expenses, if you don't follow the process, you don't get reimbursed. If you don't follow the process, you don't get reimbursed, right? And every part of a business, either it's very small or not. Some businesses even have lots and lots of procedures that it is killing. And always said something that is important. He said culture will hit strategy for breakfast. Many people think the problem is the strategy. The problem is the plan that I have put together to achieve my goal. The problem is that I have not set big and audacious goals. Well, the problem is I had a deadline, but somehow the plan was not minute enough. So now I'm going to plan by the minute. Previously, I planned per day. Now I'm going to plan by the minutes. But the reality is, regardless of how detailed it is, your plan, or how big and audacious your goal is, it will fall to the realities of your system. It will fall to the realities of the order you have in your life. It will fall to the realities of the system in which you have in your life. Governments have systems, businesses have systems, and individuals have systems. For example, for those of us who still go out, right, who still go out to work or to shop, when you get home, when you close the door behind you, many people have a routine of what they do. Some people take off their shoes at the door, and it gets to a point that you 5 minutes after you got in, you can't remember that you took your shoes off. But because it has become a habit, you have taken your shoes off and you didn't even know you did it. Why? Because that process has become automatic. That process has become automatic to you. When you come in, when there are certain things you do, right? It might not be orderly. So some people, wives will normally kick a fuss as husbands, where when they come in, they put their shoes in the sitting room, they put their jacket in the wrong places and all of that. Now, although it is not an orderly system that the person is following, it is still a system. It is still the way they do things. And the reality of life and the goals in which we set for ourselves and the strategies we might put in place, even for our businesses, is that we will never rise to the level of our goals or our dreams. We only fall to the level of our systems. We never rise to the level of our goals. Now, that's why sometimes you set goals. I mean, the start of the year, you're like, well, this year is my year. I'm going to give it all that it takes. And you are motivated, you're committed, you're in the zone, right? But those things, when they are taken away, because we will not always be motivated, what remains is the systems in which we have in our lives. And as I showed earlier on, our systems includes our daily habits, our mentality, the way we think, and the environment in which we find ourselves, or the community in which we find ourselves. Wow. So moving on to the next slide. I've spoken about this, that Now, even if you look at the picture in which we have in front of us, no matter how fast the lady runs, she cannot get to the goal. She won't go past. She won't go past that place where she is, because the system in which she has found herself, or the system in which she is running, is not designed to move forward. It is designed to expend energy, but not to move forward, right? So it is possible that in life we can be expending energy, because a system that is not designed to reach our goal will only drain energy. Orderliness brings ease, disorderliness drains energy, right? So that picture there is exactly how it feels sometimes, when it seems like you're putting all and it seems like you're not moving fast, or you're not moving far, right? So what then am I really talking about, right? In everyone's life, we have external factors that affects the way we do things, and we also have internal factors that affects the way we do things. I've mentioned mindset, habits, our self-image, the way we see ourselves, the way we think, and what we do on a consistent basis is basically our system. And if that is not well sorted, regardless of how much goals you set, you would always struggle to get there. The external things is the constant exposure. What are we exposed to? Because that determines our mindsets and sometimes influences our self-image, the way we see ourselves. The other thing is the community in which we belong to. And this community can transform, communities can make a bad egg look like a good egg, right? And it can make a good egg look like a bad egg because of where it finds itself. So we'll just move on and let's talk about mindset a bit. Now, many people are always looking at, I want to get results, right? I want to get results. I want to do this. I want to do this. And they never think about who they want to, what kind of person consistently delivers these results, right? What kind of person consistently delivers these results? We always think about what we need to do without thinking about who we need to be. We just want to do it now, right? There is a difference between cleaning your room and consistently having a clean room. Now, I'm using something very simple because everyone would be able to relate to that. And something as simple as that can translate into something really big, right? There's a difference between someone who consistently dishes out an excellent report and someone who had a good day today and delivered a good report. The way we are, the way we see ourselves, the identity in which we have determines our outcome. Our outcome on a long term. You can try to do things, you will get some results. But until we begin to think based on our identity, the process basically is what we do. The outcome is the result. But our identity determines that. For example, there's a difference between someone who is going to the gym as well and someone who is a runner. One is their identity. For the other, they are just having it done. And until we make that shift, that I want to become an healthy person, I want to have a successful career. Now, I tried this very at the start of my career within the oil and gas industry. I got into the business, and as a graduate, I was doing my work, and a part of this dawned on me. So I decided to look at the next level in which I should be promoted to. It's going to take 2 years for me to be promoted to that level. And I went to look at the job descriptions and what the expectations are. I tried to speak to a few people, and I wrote in front of my desk that from today, and it was there throughout the time in which I did this. So for about a year thereabout. From today, these are the things I will do. I am a graduate engineer, yes, but to become to be a project engineer, I have to be this, and I wrote it down in front of my desk, right? And every morning when I came in, I looked at it and I said, "This is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to operate at this level today because this is who I am. I had not been promoted to that, but this is who I am. And this is who I am." Guys, it takes 2 years for a graduate engineer to move from that role to the next. But for me, it took 1 year because I imbibed the identity. I took the responsibility. I became it. I was not just trying to catch the goal of being a project engineer. I became a project engineer, and I hope that that makes a difference in the way you see things. So having a prepared mind for every goal we set. I was reading the Harvard Business Review, and they said many people set goals, and some people set goals. Many people set goals knowing they will not eat it. They will not achieve that goal. They will not get there. Some people even set audacious goals so that they can find a means of escape when they don't achieve it. So they can tell themselves, well, I knew I couldn't achieve that anyway, but I just said it, so it puts me in motion. No, the thing is, every time we do a thing, it casts a vote for who we are, right? So, for example, if you want to, if you say, okay, I want to start eating healthy and I'm going to be eating vegetables twice a day, right? For every time you eat vegetables, it casts a vote in your identity, your mind, your subconscious, that look, this is who I am. For every time you miss, it casts another vote saying that, whoa, you're inconsistent. And that's why sometimes when you find yourself in certain areas, you say, oh, I can't do that. I'm not that committed. I can't do that. It's because of the precedents and the things that you have found yourself doing over and over again. So always spoke about clarity. Before you go for any endeavor, the first thing you should look for in terms of your pursuit, after clarifying what it is you're going for, is also understanding what kind of person achieves this result. What kind of person achieves this result? Because for you to get that result, you have to be that kind of person. For you to achieve the result, you have to be that kind of person. So what kind of person achieves the results that you're looking for? I've met lots and lots of people, and I've thought this myself, that, well, I can't do that because I am not him. I cannot, I cannot, I cannot make the presentation because I am not him. I always say every time I find the opportunity to speak and speak in this light, that I grew up being a very shy person. If you had told me about 15 years ago that one day I will be doing this, I'll tell you it's not possible. But the reality is that we must be able to make the shift, that if that desire, if that dream is what I want to do, I must be the kind of person that achieves that kind of result. I must be the kind of person that achieves that kind of result. And this is very important. The moment we can state who is the kind of person that does this, who is the kind of person that remains that weight, is a person who lives healthy. Who is a person who lives healthy? A person who has this kind of diet, and a person who has this kind of routine. Now, the moment I can clarify that, I then ask myself the next question. Am I just interested in the dream, or am I willing to be committed to it? It's just what always said about wishing and dreaming. Am I just interested? Look, many things many things you can be interested in, but a few things you will be committed to. Am I willing to make the necessary changes in my life to get this result? Look, every time you set a goal, it lays a demand on your present system. It lays a demand on the present way in which you do things. You would have to create space. You will have to change your schedule. You would have to go to that place. You would have to write that letter. You would have to make that application. Every single time you commit to a thing, it lays a demand on what you on your present system. It lays a demand on your life. Are you willing to create a space? Are you willing to make the necessary changes? Many people desire it, many people dream it, many people set it as goal and even make plans, but they are not willing to make that change. They are willing to talk about the change. They're willing to work with people and explain to them how they desire to make the change, but they are not willing to let the rubber hit the ground and say, look, I want to move forward with this. I want to take action. So are you willing to make the commitment? I'm not saying take action. I'm just asking you the question. Are you willing to make the necessary changes? Would you make the changes? Would you try to reduce your sleeping pattern from 10 hours to 6 hours to allow for 4 hours to chase that dream? Are you willing to stay up? Are you willing to stay up to 2 a.m. in the morning just to get that done on a consistent basis? Or if you're not willing to make those changes, then you are not eligible for achieving the result. So the next point is, we touched on this, so I won't talk too much about it. But the reality is that if you don't see it, if you don't see yourself being there and also doing the needful to be there, many people fantasize. So I don't think many people have the problem of seeing themselves there. Some people do, but not everyone does. Most people have the problem of seeing themselves consistently doing what is needed to be able to get the results. So do you believe you would be able to do that? Because there is no point starting. There is no point telling your family and friends if you're not gonna do it, if you're not willing to be committed to it, if it's just an interest. So the mindsets to avoid every single time we want to set a goal, you want to go for a dream, you want to make a change in strategy, the setting mindsets to avoid. The first one is you want to avoid the syndrome of all motion, no progress. All motion, no progress. I don't know if you've been, and I have done this myself. So many of the things or if not all of the things I speak about today, I've done in the past, right? You went for that course, you even paid for some courses, you did them and all of that, so that you would be able to start that business, but you never started the business. You talked about it, you did things, you went to read that blog, you made that you made that call, but you never really started the main thing. It's just like someone who is going to write a book. They called up different publishers, they learned about how to self-publish, they designed the cover, they did everything, but they didn't write the book. What is the core action you need to do? Because that's what gives you progress. There is a core action for every dream. There's a core action. For example, I would not have anything to, well, I might be able to blag it through for a few minutes if I didn't prepare for this, but after a while it's going to show that I didn't prepare. But if I prepare, if I am going to make an impact in anyone's life today, I would have to make some time to put thoughts together that can meet needs. Right. I can always, Owe and I spoke about this a number of times, but I could stop at just speaking about it and telling people about it and all of that and not actually do the actual work. Many times people find solace in motion. They find solace. They feel as though they are doing something without actually doing the actual thing that needs to be done. So avoid the mindset of always wanting to to have motion. Yeah, I'm doing this about it. I'm doing this about it, but you are not doing it. Right. Okay. The the next thing is learned helplessness. This is the this is the syndrome where people think, hmm, well, what you've said, Kaide, is true, but you don't understand my case. My case is different. Well, what you said is true. It works for you, or better still, it doesn't work for everybody. Someone like me, I have a special case. Now, the reason I told you that I have two young ones in which children in which I stay up at night is so that you know that I have a reason not to do some of the things I do. I have a reason not to do it. But some people already put themselves in the case where they put themselves in that thinking where, well, my case is a special case. I have set goals for 10 years and I have not achieved any one of them. And with that, they feel they are in a special bubble of where people would they have learned to be helpless, basically. They have put themselves in that special bubble where people would have to treat them in a special class. They will need a special miracle of some sort that brings them out. Not knowing it's just a mindset shift that this time I am gonna do it. I'm gonna make the necessary space in my life and make the necessary change. I am gonna become the person who gets things done. Avoid the special case syndrome. Um, so this this I realized that I was actually reading an article when I realized that many people actually even set goals, pursue a dream with a clause in mind, with a clause of a get out clause of, well, we're gonna get out of this somehow, and they have already positioned themselves to give an excuse. You see, the reality is, no matter where you are in life, you can always find a reason not to do the needful. You can always find a reason. You can always find a reason not to do the needful. But the reality is that you would always be haunted by what could have been if you didn't make the excuse. So never start the pursuit of a thing with a clause that I can get out of this. And I'll show you some of the things that you could do to ensure that you don't get yourself in this situation. Always looking for the easy way out is also a problem. This actually happens in many endeavors. You see it mostly in things people crave for. For example, people want a summer ready body, right? They want to slim down and all of that, and they want to get in the right shape. People want money and all of that, and you will see that many people fall into traps because they want the easy way out. So people fall into investment traps because they have been promised a kind of get rich quick scam. So they get themselves into trouble. People get themselves into a whole lot of mess because they want to slim down quite fast. I mean, and they drink this, they do that, and they buy a product that promises to reduce their size by 50% in 2 weeks and all of that. Look, always looking for the quickest way out without. I'm not saying always go the hard way. Sometimes there are easy ways, there are legitimate easy ways. But having the mindset that I will do nothing, I will just click a button and it's going to happen, will get you into trouble. So avoid this mindset as you chase whatever you've got in mind. The other thing I want to talk about is habits. Habits. Every time we talk about habits and creating routines and all of that, the first thing people say, I don't want to be boxed. But the reality is that you already have an habit you don't know. I'll tell you that at the start of the pandemic, we started working from home, and somehow my workstation was on the dining table, and the dining table in my flat is not far from the fridge, right? You can guess what happened. And after a few days, I'd found that somehow, I don't tell anybody about this. I truly don't understand how that happened. I just slept and woke up and saw that I had gained a few stones. So I thought. But as I went on and I started telling myself, look, I'm gonna slim down. I'm gonna do this. So I started doing some exercises and stuff like that. But I also started changing my diet. But when I started changing my diet, I realized that somehow I was not getting the kind of results that I wanted. So I I decided to do something. I decided to track every single thing that I put into my mouth. Now, remember that I said I tried to change my diet, but I changed the what you call the 3 square meal. So if you eat twice a day, that kind of stuff. Um, so I started tracking. If it goes in my mouth, no matter how small the quantity is, it goes into the tracker. It goes into the tracker. If it goes into my mouth, it goes into the tracker. I was surprised the first day how many things had gone into my mouth without actually eating 3 square meals, right? Because the reality is that a thing that is not properly tracked, you don't understand. And if you don't understand it, you can't measure it. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it, right? So that gave me a perspective that I love to snack. A reality that if you had told me in person without me finding out myself, I would have said, no, I don't like to snack. You see, every time you want to make change in your life, don't run away from the truth. If you're lazy, you need to come to that place where you tell yourself the truth. That you did yesterday was an act of laziness, pure and simple. In my case, I had to say, look, this level of snacking will not take you to where you're going. Right. So in developing habits, we need to understand first, where am I? Where am I with my life, my habits? What habits do I have? Either you like it or not, you have an habit. You have an habit. Most of you would have the first thing you say or you do when you wake up. It's an habit, something that you do automatically without thinking. Every habit, every habit starts with a cue, something that triggers the need for that. If people who have a drinking habit, for example, there is a cue that gets them to drink more, right? Every habit starts with a cue. It's like a stimulus, and that stimulus automatically turns into an action. It gets them to do that thing. When they see this thing, they do that thing. And they do that thing not simply because of the cue, but because of the feeling or the reward they get at the end of it. The feeling or the reward they get at the end of it. And the reality of why we set goals is that we like the fact that I could become that reward. I could become this and all of that. But the reality of the pursuit of goals is that we don't get too many cues to get us to take action in our pursuits on a daily basis. And we don't get too many rewards for the little wins in which we have on a daily basis. So for your habits to create new habits in your life, you must, for example, I mentioned about when I talked about my career moving from a graduate engineer to project engineer. I spoke about the fact that I wrote it down, and every morning I came in, it was there. I didn't have to pull it out. I didn't have to pull it out of my drawer to remind myself. It was there, right? Every day it stares at me. So the list of who I need to be today was there. So I sit down and I say, oh, that's who I need to be. That's a cue for me to go for more. That's a cue for me to set up that meeting. That's a cue for me to take responsibility. That's a cue for me to plug the hole that my colleague might have left due to one thing or the other. That's a cue for me. So set up cues, make things that make your dreams obvious to you, your actions, not just your dreams, because every dream has the actual actions that need to be done. Dreams don't fulfill themselves. Actions lead to results, right? So what is that sort of gives me a cue to act on a daily basis? And it must be strong enough that it gets you to act. For some people, just merely setting an alarm on your phone would not do that, right? Even for waking us up, it doesn't work anymore because we snooze a lot of times. But for some people, you need a physical person to come wake you up, right? The same way, that cue must be strong enough to get you to act. And what you are acting on must have a reward at the end. Now, an experiment was done by a particular university on gym goers, right? Gym goers, and they found that certain people went to the gym more simply because they had made new friends at the gym, and they went to the gym not necessarily for the exercise, although when they got to the gym, they exercised, but they went through their routines, but it was what made them keep looking forward to going to the gym was the relationship they had created within a small group of women that they went there together, right? So the reward was the craving for that relationship, but the cue was that, look, my alarm goes off, I have to be at the gym by 5. The girls will be at the gym by 5. And because they are around the gym, they get to exercise and they still get the reward of having to meet themselves. So and this would although it might sound as something really really small, or but the reality is that it's the small things. Remember, a system is a bit of small things that we do, right, that turns into a big thing. Some years ago, I was struggling with submitting my chartership papers to the Institute of Engineering and Technology, and I struggled. I was looking for this big time at some time to do it, and I said, "Oh, I'll take some time off." But when I took some time off, I also had to babysit and stuff like that. And as I did that, I realized that, look, I will never get that big time. So I did this. I decided that every single day I would find 15 to 30 minutes just to write something, no matter how small it is. Write something that adds up to the report, add something. And for some of us that know the chartership process, it can be daunting, lots of things to write. And I'm not going to look for 2 hours there or 3 hours there. I'm just going to use the 15 minutes, 30 minutes on a daily basis. So I did that. And in a couple of months, I was done and submitted. I tried the same thing on a group of guys that I like a mentorship group that I mentored through the chartership. And I said, look, don't look for a big time. Just can you find 15 minutes a day to do this? And some of them came back and said, look, it's just 1 week and I've written a lot in just 15 minutes a day. It's a system they have put in place. 15 minutes a day, I'm going to put something together in this line. No matter how small it is, every single day, ensure you do one thing towards the goal in which you have set. Every single day. Now, if you miss a day, put in your heart that I will not miss another day. It should be a principle that, look, if I miss a day, that's fine. I'll pick myself and move on. But missing twice is not acceptable, right? And getting yourself into that habit would do well. Now, if you look back at I'll be rounding up very soon. If you look back at the cue and the reward, where there is no cue, the possibility of taking action is reduced. Where there is a lot of cues, the possibility of taking action is increased. Where there is no reward, the motivation of taking action is reduced. Where there is reward, the motivation of taking action is increased. For some of us, it could be, well, if I go to the gym, I get to eat this, but you have to make sure that you're not eating something that does what you have just done at the gym, right? So thinking in that way helps us to be able to create habits. So I'll just, because of the time, I'll just move quickly to communities. This is a very strong theme. One thing I've realized is that if you can get yourself into either a community or a group of people where your wow, what you see as wow, is their normal, it opens your eyes to possibilities. Get yourself into a community where your wow is their normal. It's normal for them to do it, but you think like, wow, this is a huge thing. It is important because I don't know if you have found yourself in a group or family and all of that, that you do things because you don't want to let the tribe down, right? And when we find ourselves in communities and we get accountability within those communities, sometimes it's not just about we getting things done. Sometimes we get things done because we know if we don't get it done, we are either going to let the tribe down, or our estimation in the sight of certain people will be reduced. Now, this gets you into a place where you can find that your life is accelerated by simply getting a coach. For example, if you get a health coach, for example, you don't show up at the gym, they give you a call. You know that the fact that they gave you a call, or the fact that you didn't show up, you're still going to pay for the session, yet they're still coming back to you to say, look, they're still coming back to you to say, where are you? Why have you not shown up at the gym? So the reality is, get yourself into accountability groups, people who can spur you on, people who can inspire you. It is not just about you. Always said something that is so true, that you cannot get. There are times where you would need someone to hold your hand. There's a level where you would need someone to help you up as you push, right? Get yourself into those communities, and you would find that the way you see things would be different. The way you see things will be different. There are some communities you actually have to get out of. There's some communities you have to get out of. There's some relationships you have to get out of to be able to see clearly, to be able to explore, to be able to be inspired, right? And I'm not, when I say communities, I'm not just saying attend webinars. Get people who have your contact, who can call you about the thing, who can question you about the thing, right? In my own personal life, I have a couple of people like that. Always one of them will call you about what you said, right? So get yourself in those communities. Lack of accountability puts you in a place where you can slip and slide into not pursuing your dreams so easily, and no one will know, because no one knew that you were pursuing anything in the first place. And some people think that's security, but that's a recipe for failure. So in the light of that, I want to recommend this book for everyone, Atomic Habits, by James Clear. It helps you, it actually gives you a step-by-step approach on how, and it has some resources online as well, where you can put things together and say, okay, I want to set up my life. I want to create a system within my life that allows me to be on the right track. I want to create that system. And aside from finding communities and all of that, this book would help you do justice to that. Now, I've spoken for 45 minutes. There are lots and lots of things I have missed out. If you need some more clarity on certain things, you can contact me. But still, that book is a whole lot of resource that will transform your life, I guarantee you. And in the light of that, I would like to say thank you to the organizers. Thank you to everyone